Hello, everyone. Here we're with another show. Markus, Keith, how's everything on your ends?
Yeah, in Germany everything
Good
is cool
morning.
so far. Hey Amos, hey Keith, and yeah, we're expecting warm weather to come, warm weather next week, and yeah, everything is sunny here, and well, I hope it's the same in at your place, Amos.
Yeah, it's not bad. We had the beautiful weather. People are out. Maybe not at the pre-pandemic level, but certainly there's been a switch, and the people are going maskless all over the place. Restaurants. I've gone to a botanical garden for since a long time and enjoyed it tremendously.
And what about you, Keith? I heard that you are expecting really hot weather next week.
Unbelievably hot. If we didn't have so many slides in our deck, I would have put another one in where our mayor actually made a state of emergency announcement
Oh,
because it's
damn.
going to be record temperatures that Seattle has never seen in its history, supposedly, where we're going to get temperatures of 107 degrees. Now,
Holy.
we're on the seacoast, so we just don't get these temperatures. And so there are emergency cooling centers that are going to be opened, and we're expecting something that we've never seen before.
Holy crap.
So other than that, things are fine with me.
Yes, good to know, man. Good to know. Uh, well, what you said about people going maskless, Amos. I read today that in Israel, though I think very many people, I think 75% around that are already completely vaccinated.
Yes.
They are ordering now that they have to wear masks again, at least inside the buildings, because
Yep.
it's not about the coronavirus anymore, it's about the Delta virus.
Yes, well, it is a coronavirus, a Delta variant.
Yes, yeah, but the next level, if you want, so.
Yes, it's
Right.
the Indian.
And it's young people are more susceptible to it.
Exactly.
And I'm worried about these cooling centers. Now, Seattle in Washington State is ahead of the curve as far as the rest of the United States. We're not all idiots. So we got some people who did the right thing here. So the actual number of new cases, I think is pretty tiny.
Yes.
But the thing is with the Delta variant, you're going to get large numbers of unvaccinated people because this is an age group and it could go through them like lightning.
Yes.
And then, so there's going to be unnecessary death. And, so until it's wiped out, I've been vaccinated. Most everybody here, has been vaccinated, but, in public, you wear a mask. If you're talking to a friend or something, a different story, but, you're doing the socially correct thing because, it's getting the virus where it counts.
Yeah.
Yes, and we've passed the 10% in the US of the Delta variant, which is of concern. If you remember, I predicted that this lull would be like a window. Unfortunately, I think that's what's happening, and the situation in Israel is proving it. Initially, they said that the current vaccine covers 88% efficiency for the Delta variant. Apparently, this doesn't seem to be correct because a lot of the people who are getting sick at the current time in Israel are fully vaccinated. So they received the Pfizer variant of the vaccine. So I think it's a window. We should enjoy it as long as we can before things start getting ugly again. And I think it's going to primarily hurt those who are not vaccinated. They're the most susceptible, but ultimately I think that it's going to create a loop. We're going to have to wait for a booster. It's luckily they can now generate a booster for various variants relatively fast. Won't take a year. But still, to roll it all out and have the logistics in place, and the cost of it is going to be tremendous. But that's where we are now. In a very famous Israeli Virologists said that we should learn to live with corona because it's not going away anytime soon.
Yes, exactly. And if you're looking what's going on in Europe currently, you guys know that we are having our European football championship running, and they are planning, especially for the final, which would be in Wembley Stadium in London, that it would be full packed with people, 60,000 people. And if you know that England is very hard hidden by the new variant, by the Delta virus. Meanwhile, it is absolutely crazy, and yeah, we will see where it leads. I will stay behind my mask when I'm out there because I'm still not vaccinated, not even the first shot I got here.
Well,
Because here in Germany, the situation is that the doctors who would love to vaccinate the people, they don't get enough of the vaccines, and that's our big problem we have here. Yeah.
and the situation in Russia has also deteriorated. The problem was that they had such good propaganda about how well they were doing that people in Russia don't feel the need to get vaccinated, especially because it's not free, from what I understand. It costs like extremely expensive. It's like it could be 2 salaries to get a couple vaccinated. And this is becoming a huge problem. The numbers there are rising. Of course, Putin has is as a germaphobe is like completely insulating himself. I wouldn't be surprised if he received a Pfizer or a Moderna vaccine himself, but their vaccine apparently more and more data as it's coming in appears that it's not nearly as effective as they were letting the public know, and it may not even be in the qualification as a vaccine. I think there's a 65% required for it to be considered a vaccine. So all of this is now in question, and I don't know what's going to happen in Russia, but it doesn't look good.
Yeah, yeah, and there are also worrying news coming from Africa, from Kenya, for example. The virus is also spreading there, and it is now going into the villages, and yeah, it doesn't look good.
Not to mention Brazil, so we're not out of the woods by a long shot. So.
No, and it is crazy, It's the second year in a row that in spring some of our politicians were completely happy that we can expect warmer temperatures in the summer, because it would help, to fight the virus, and this is absolutely stupid, If you look, for example, at what's going on in Brazil, the only cure is, to get protected as good as it gets, and
well, the idea is, with a heat wave, well, the idea is warmer weather will get you outside, so you're exposing fewer people. But now with heat waves, everybody's going to be cooling together inside, so you're going to reach a point where it reverses.
Yes.
So when will that? Probably July 1st.
We'll see. All right, guys, let's have a look what we have for you today. And yeah, some may like it, some may not, but we have to address what happened around TYT and Jimmy Dore, etc. It won't be a long segment. Mostly we would like to go into the comments we got from you. And in the next segment, we will ask the question, who was Winston Smith? Keith and Amos will talk about this. We got the revelations from the UN Refugee Report, which is also horrible to read. And we got some more shortcuts. And let's start with the TYT thingy. And if you look at the card, I chose a quote from a movie which was Caligula. It was done in 1979, and I think it fitted perfectly to Cenk Uygur. In my opinion, my personal opinion, uh, after what I saw, what he did at the airport a couple of years ago, I scratched my head and said to myself, "Oh God, what a pompous ass!" And you know, I think the role would fit perfectly to him, And this is the opening speech of Caligula when the movie starts, and yeah, he's behaving like a kind of god, in my opinion. I think he's going to last week he was on what's left over of Rising, after Kristen Ball and Seagal left the show and went solo very successfully, and very, very great that they did this. He went to Rising, and it was absolutely fantastic, that when he watched into the camera and he was spreading bullshit, completely convincing, in his approach to the audience. And of course he smeared us, and he called us clowns, and that we would be some kind of agents of the right, or right wingers directly. But let's roll the video, to get through the segment. The first one, slide 6, please.
Obvious. Look, the clowns that pretend to be on the left said, okay, let's just try to block Nancy Pelosi being Speaker of the House. I said, okay, great. I want to force votes. So how do you want to do it? Who's going to replace her? Oh, I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? Okay, which progressive's running against her? None. Then what are we doing? Well, a Republican might get the seat, or they just keep voting endlessly, etc. How's that going to help? I don't know. Are they going to vote on Medicare for all? No. Will you win that vote? No. So wait, that is totally counterproductive and stupid. Now, $15 minimum wage, guys, this is one we can win. We can create public pressure. We're 100% right. Public opinion is on our side. Everybody, come on, let's go put public pressure on. And the Young Turks audience was wonderful. It wasn't me, it was them. They put tremendous pressure on Bernie Sanders to have that vote, and we found out who the 8 corporate Democrats are, who the bad guys are. Meanwhile, the right wingers pretending to be left wingers like Jimmy Dore are like, oh no, that wasn't my idea. That hurts my ego. I won't help. I won't ever help progressives when you might win.
Yeah, I think it is kind of how can I say it friendly? You gotta have guts, to accuse those people who are connected with the left and with what Jimmy Dore was forcing, that he put the blame on the left wingers, that the Squad and other progressives could not organize an opposing candidate. I think this is absolutely crazy. And then he goes on, he's talking about pushing pressure, but when the time was there, we all know that he didn't put the pressure. He was justifying them for not fighting. And it is absolutely fantastic, And
I'd tell Sink something if I had a chance.
Yes, please.
Yeah, I would tell him, Chris Hedges says you do things just because you're right, because if you have a certain belief, you don't compromise your beliefs. So whether or not, I see that Sink is playing along with the game of empire here. Yeah, if what you're only going to concern yourself with the things you have a chance of winning, that's ridiculous. We're never going to get anywhere. Power does not yield unless we pressure it.
Yes.
If Medicare for all isn't put before the legislatures, the Congresses, and it has to fail before it wins. And that's not going to happen if it's not heard. So excuse the short rant.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of hubris on the part of Cenk to determine that his strategy should apply to everybody, that everybody should agree with that. Obviously, there is no such consensus that whatever you're doing is supposed to go this way or that way. So, yeah, in hindsight, maybe he could have said, "Oh, it didn't produce any results. If we attempted it, well, we didn't even attempt it." So
yeah, he has hindsight. I'm not so sure.
I don't know. We never tested it. It may have moved the needle. Who knows? But where are we with $15 minimum wage? We haven't seen that go into full effect either yet. So. Yeah.
And you don't have to forget, when it comes around Medicare for all, right? We are facing now the Delta virus variant of Corona. It was the chance, the chance in a lifetime, to get this through under these conditions, right? And where was TYT? Where were the so-called progressives? And this is what really pisses me off is that he is calling those who are not in agreement with him clowns, fake left, or right wingers.
Oh, the right wingers! That's ridiculous.
I think with that he's kind of like addressing Jimmy Dore and kind of like not making a distinction, but obviously is addressing Jimmy Dore, which he explicitly called on this specifically.
Yeah, but he did not exclusively call Jimmy Dore right winger. He called also all others who are connected with him, who share his views, who realized that our only chance is, to put pressure on politicians, and not preventing any critique of them, and playing into their cards, and going establishment. And this is what I said last week, and this was my major point I wanted to express last week is the relabeling, what is left, what is progressivism, and this is the danger, because they are claiming that they are progressive, they are claiming they are left, and they're calling everybody else names, clowns, fake left, pseudo left, or whatever, and this is what really pisses me off.
Well, that's just Cenk. His
this is exactly Cenk, and this is exactly why I came to this quote taken from Caligula. These complete blown up, stupid bullshit he's spreading. And this is making me really mad. Okay, but let's go.
Do you want to cover what happened with Crystal Ball and Sager last week?
Are you asking me or what?
Yeah. Do you want to cover that?
Okay. I'm not into the details. I know that Karl Kolinsky made a longer segment about this, but Kristen Ball and Sager, they're both separated from the Hill. They are not doing Rising anymore. They are going solo now very successfully. And Breaking Points is their new show, and I recommend to watch it on YouTube. It's absolutely fantastic, but both, And The Hill replaced them directly, but unsuccessfully. The numbers were dropping since the new anchors, the new hosts are there. Because it was the trademark of Crystal Ball and Sager, and they established this thingy, and you could see that it is not possible to replace them with people who obviously don't share their attitude on politics, and this is why the audience is not rising. It's sinking, if you want so. And anyway, Cenk Uygur used this opportunity there and to promote himself, his views, and to smear people again, and the other thing is, and there is no mentioning about how they are working as journalists, how carefully they are working. This is not the point of the discussion anymore. It is only about smearing, and claiming the terms progressivism and being left, you know, and
some of that's the point, the smearing, you know, it's a distraction.
it is a distraction.
Because remember, all this started because of some stuff about Syria not being reported correctly, you know, and so what are we winding up with? We wind up with talking about he said, she said, this person's bad, this person's good, and you know,
Yes.
kind of mission accomplished by those who wanted to divert us from Syria in the first place.
Yes, yes, and then let's go quickly to the 3 videos we have here, and then you get Anna Kasparian, you know, and when I saw this, you know, I could not believe it, you know, that they had the audacity, you know, to report about what's going on with Britney Spears right now, you know, that she is trying to get her dad away from telling her what to do, and you know, just
problems.
Just roll the clip.
Britney Spears addressed the Los Angeles Superior Court regarding her long-running conservatorship, the conservatorship that put her father, Jamie Spears, in charge of nearly every aspect of her life. This has been in place since 2008, and it is the first time that we are now hearing from Britney Spears herself about what she feels about this program and not having full agency of her life, of her finances. She said in this court hearing, quote, "I feel ganged up on, I feel bullied, and I feel left out and alone, and I'm tired of feeling alone." She said that she's being exploited and that she can't sleep, is depressed, and cries every day. The New York Times earlier this week had accessed some court documents that were not public previously, so we started to get a better sense of how she was feeling about all of this. And then
yeah, let's roll the other one directly after this.
I mean, it's just, it's sick. And you can see that just by the way she carries herself, by the fact that she's been so successful in her career, even after she had, you know, very clear mental health episode in 2008, that she's good. She can take care of herself. She doesn't need to be under the control of her father, who seems to be exploiting her. But unfortunately for now, the hearing ended with no resolution. The Los Angeles Superior Court judge, Brenda Penny, said that Spears's remarks were courageous, and also said that she would have to file a formal petition asking for this program to end before she could render a decision. So hopefully there's light at the end of the tunnel for Britney Spears. But it does bring up some pretty devastating questions about how we deal with mental health issues in this country, in the state of California, and why it is that it's taken this long for the courts to even pay attention to this.
Yeah, no, I added it purposely because I wanted to address something.
Oh, okay, because
I mean, it's just it's sick.
Yeah, the thing is, you know, it was a big chance which TYT missed again, you know, to apologize to her in this connection, I guess, you know. And there's no word, you know. She is stating, you know, that she was in a fragile mental state in obviously in 2008, you know, but they didn't show any mercy on her, right?
Well, actually, she does address that later on.
Yes, I know what you mean, but come on, this is not what I see as an apology, you know.
Well,
she's defending herself. Okay,
let's roll that, because it's also important from Anna to see what Anna what's her name?
Anna Kasparian or Emma Vigilant?
Emma Vigilant. Yes, she addresses it as well, and I think it's something to talk about.
And how complicit we all are in this. I mean, I just want to add, she was a full of life, person. I didn't want to use that word incorrectly. And she was essentially beaten down by a society that sexualized her as a teenager, that forced her to be sexy, but like you're also a horrible role model, and we're going to be entirely invasive in every part of your life. I mean, that part of the 2000s, when there was this celebrity culture, it was sick, and we all participated in it.
Oh yeah.
And we all have culpability in it, right? And I read those blogs. I read Perez Hilton. I feel deep shame. And so I think we all have to reckon with it as a society, how we treated her. And by all accounts, you know, I listened to Mariah Carey oddly speak about her. She's apparently the nicest person ever. And she was drugged with lithium and things that she couldn't control. And I feel immensely sorry for her. And, you know, there's so many different elements that we could talk about forever. But
I second that. And I thank you, Emma, for saying it, because, you know, you're taking personal responsibility. I mean, I obviously have to take personal responsibility too, but my hope is that, you know, people can see how culture has evolved. That's really important, and how the kind of comments about female celebrities, the kind of coverage of female celebrities that was incredibly popular back in the early aughts, no longer stands today. There's a lot of resistance to it, and I'm proud of that evolution. And so we need to right those wrongs, and getting her freed from this situation and drawing attention to the unfairness and the exploitation she's dealing with is just scratching the surface.
Yeah, so I mean, this is a mea culpa of sorts. So
no, come on. This is, I'm sorry, this is no apology. No,
it's not an apology. It's a mea culpa. There's a difference. But
she's defending herself, you know, and when she says that the culture developed, you know, I think this is a questionable.
Well, you don't. Don't you agree?
Sorry, I think. Yeah. I think it is about. Go on with your thought. I just lost it. You interrupted.
Well, don't you agree that there has been a shift in the culture? Obviously, people have not called them out on it when Cenk was attacking Britney. We played that clip last week where he said he wouldn't even do her. At that time, there hasn't been a lot of a public outcry on it, and now it's coming all out retroactively. So obviously, the public sphere and discussion has changed in what we consider acceptable or not acceptable has also shifted. I don't think she's wrong about that.
Lying too.
I think
you would do her.
I think it has less to do with culture, but with attitude, you know. And you know that, for example, you know, Jimmy Dore was also around. Do we know any segment from Jimmy Dore at Young Turks where he was doing this stuff with them? I'm asking. I don't know, because as I said last week, I don't know the show from that time period. But you know, if there were something, you know, TYT would have promoted it wildly. Meanwhile, and this is what I mean. You know, it is either you have an attitude, you know, and then you would just not do this because you could not do this, you know, because you have a certain attitude to this. You know, if you're willing to bully or badmouth a person in such a disgusting way, sorry, I don't think this has to do with culture. What do you guys think?
Well, I think it does, but I mean,
it has to do with clicks, you know. That's it.
And the other, like, I would consider this like a petty gossip story, except for the fact that Britney Spears' situation has kind of brought to light the conflicts and problems of conservatorship, or how we deal with people with mental disabilities. And if she, as a famous person who's obviously functioning at a high level, being able to not just fund herself, not only finance herself, but finance her father. All of the lawsuits that are going on, like she's funding both attorneys on both sides.
That's what's fascinating to me.
Yes.
Yeah, and
That's what I find, about this thing is
It's a farce.
money is running her life.
Yes.
yes, and
Her own
and
money is destroying her.
And she is and was the gold donkey for a lot of people.
But the fact that even she, with that exposure and ability, is in a dire situation because of the way we address mental illness is a problem. Now, I think if you looked at the whole discussion between Emma Wigland and Kasparian on it, they talked about the flip side of it, and I'm very familiar with the flip side of it, and it is not a simple issue, because where you have people who become schizophrenic or have gone off and are not able to distinguish between reality and fiction, at that point it is very hard to do anything. And the laws that are currently being used, especially in California, really are playing against the ability for family members to help people who have a mental disability and try to protect them. And the people are kind of left to their own devices, and that on the other hand is also a big problem. So it's something that does require a serious review and thinking, in figuring out how we can accomplish both, how we can allow family or people who care to intervene in a way that is helpful to the person, but not take over and destroy their life or impact their life. And in this case, it's very extreme, because Britney Spears has revealed that she has a boyfriend. She wanted to have additional kids, and unfortunately, she has is it IUD? I was confused between IED and IUD. I think it's IUD.
IUD, I think also. Yeah.
Not the bomb. So she basically is not allowed to remove it, because she does not have authorship on her own body, which is quite an extreme case here. So it's very complex. It's definitely something that I think at this point has to be brought up and figure out, because there's far too many people suffering, far too many homeless people going without help, and far too many people that are impacted like Britney and have their freedom clipped in the name of conservatorship.
Yeah.
I suppose that's one way to look at it. I see the money is just dominating everything. So, whatever state of mental health care is in the country, she's got so much money, she doesn't get it, because the money is taking control. And I'm saying the M word over and over and over again, because, yes, this is a gossip story about capitalism. Guess what? And that's what we're about. So, we all share that here. So our disdain for it, rather. Yeah. And, I'm fascinated just because of it could be so simple. She should just be able to show competence at this point, and some judge should be able to just say, "Oh, you're in charge of your life again. You're obviously capable of making adult decisions, and so enjoy." But that's not happening. And why isn't it happening? It's because you've got lawyers filing lawsuit after motions going back and forth.
It's the money machine. Yeah, you're right.
And the lips may say that they're advocating for some position for her, but really they're in their own self-interest. And that's what I'm seeing in all this.
Yes, if we were to clean her father from any suspicion of other agenda, then he would have had to just give up the financial aspect of it, and he has not done so. In fact, when she threatened that she would no longer perform if her conservatorship was not reduced, then they came up with a compromise that the third party would be involved in all these decisions. So it's clearly an element there which is sad, and that adds like a drama into the already complex background story of mental illness and all of that. So.
Yeah. So let's go over to your comments. And it was very interesting to read. It was discussed, very controversial. And yeah, let's start with the first post. It's coming from Jean, and she says, "I'm a woman. What I saw and felt from his telling of the story of his joke 7 years ago was that he honestly regretting making her feel so embarrassed. What I saw him smirking about was about the hypocrisy that Anna would write a message to blackmail him and then lie to her audience to accuse him of a sexual harassment and then pretend to self-righteous about the treatment of women. He wasn't smiling about 7 years ago. He was smiling about the absurdity of what is happening at this moment. Not all women can see nuances." And Gina, I got to tell you, you're absolutely right. You got to see people who are not who are watching this, who are not into the details of it. You know, they are only seeing a guy, you know, who is telling the story, smirking. You know, and this is what I was referring to, and that I can. And I think I also said it in the segment, you know, I completely can feel with him, you know, because I would be absolutely enraged, you know. I would go down into the basement and look for my rocket launcher, you know. I would be so infuriated, and I completely can understand he was smirking and about the absurdity, you know. But someone who is not into the details, you know, and only see what is coming from TYT, you know, might get the impression, oh, hold on, this guy, oh, he's not serious, you know. And this was the point of my critique in this, you know.
I might be wrong, but my recollection is of him smirking in both occasions, in both situations.
No. There he was already aware what he had in stock, you know, about the videos and all this stuff, you know. There he already knew that he would play this, you know. And
I think you're both right, and he had mixed feelings, and he's telling the story so much that you're going to see it both ways.
He said it several times, yeah, multiple times, you know, and yeah, I can guess, you know, I can feel it, you know, that at a certain point, you know, you also say, oh, fucking shit, what am I talking about? This is absolutely ridiculous, you know, and yeah, of course you're smirking about it, you know, but as I said, you know, someone who is not into the details, you know, of what happened before, you know, might get the wrong impression, you know, and you know that when women have also experienced harassment at working place or somewhere else, you know, they automatically say, oh, this guy cannot be serious, you know. And this was also in the comments from those who defended TYT, you know. This was exactly mostly the argument they found, you know, and this is why I said this kind of fired back, you know, and but it was understandable.
To me, both equally, Cenk and Dor are doing disservice to their own causes by their personalities, which is a shame, but it is what it is.
Yes, yeah. Of course, there are the egos in it. You know, this is what we are seeing. What is obviously, you know. Then the next level is the journalism, or what they call journalism. You know, the value of it. You know, and there we're coming to Armatay and stuff about Syria, Russiagate, and etc. You know, and then we are coming to the next level my personal opinion, that TYT and others are trying, to claim the term what it means to be a progressive or on the left side, And yeah, Anti-War says, I think she is addressing me. I think you're easily manipulated by the females who control your thoughts. Perhaps it was nervous laughter considering Jimmy's addressing a scheme to blackmail him. He's a comedian, for fuck's sakes. He was his boss. She was his boss and had control over him. From the logic point, you're absolutely right. I don't think that I get manipulated by too many females in my life, to be honest. But well, as I said before, I also share this view. So Eddie L says, the hosts here are neutered. Most of the thoughts they hold here are what a gal gave them and not based on facts, but feeling. And this is the trouble they totally missed. The fact that his smirk could have been about how even after his apology, she would use that as smear him, and most ladies and weak males. From the first part, I understood in fact are not based in fact but feeling, but this is exactly the point. From the logic side, you can explain everything. You can explain the technique TYT used, to smear him, but it is about the emotion, and from the emotional side, what I said, the smirking
Marcus,
was not a big help. Yeah, please.
Yeah, well, there's an aspect to this, and it's about the nervous laughter. Okay, sometimes people, I'm kind of one of them. Sometimes, where what I'm expressing on my face might be exactly opposite. Like he's laughing when at somebody, like a car wreck.
Look at the Joker.
I have this issue with my wife all the time because she's one that takes like the smirk literally, like your girlfriend, and where I'm more like, okay, he smirked. It could mean that, but I need something more. I got to confirm it another way so that I know it's not a reverse emotional reaction or something. And if you're following all this, good for you. And so I try to look for some verification. But the problem is, you were on TYT or whatever, you're watching a show, and you go, or Jimmy DeRay, you don't get that. And so you got to kind of go with your first impression. You don't get a chance to check it out.
That's it. Yeah. Well, then we have, let's go over to the longer one, to slide 15, please. Because there was an interesting point in it, it was started with Viva Laletta Godfrey. Dor said sorry for hurting Anna's feelings back then. Now he's just telling the story. And there were 6 answers. From Eddie is coming as blackmail to try to stop him from calling out the bullshit they say and do. Jean says, imagine being accused of sexual harassment and staying silent. Yeah. And this is exactly the point, This is, and this is what the situation makes so complicated, How can you defend as a male against those accusations, if you're innocent, of course, It is very, very difficult, and because something stays, something sticks and stays, and that is a problem, and this was also a problem, I guess, why parts of the Me Too movement got discredited, and this is not helping those women, who experience the harassment and of all the terrible things, and yeah, it is very difficult, and how can you react, and Amos said it at the last, Amos, what is a man supposed to do, and
well, this was in double quotes. This is irony on my part. It's sarcasm. It's sarcasm regarding that previous quote, because I think that a man just can do exactly that. They can defend themselves. They can set the facts straight, and they don't have to attack women. They don't have to make fun of them inappropriately. What is a man supposed to do? Please.
Yeah, but in this but you gotta differentiate between this context and another contexts, you know, because in this context, I think that the smear was just too much for Jimmy Dore, you know. And
well, you know, there's another aspect to this whole thing that we haven't even discussed at all. You know,
okay,
that Anna Kasparian and Jimmy. Okay, you know, sexually harassing Anna Kasparian would be like grabbing a tiger by the tail. You would get bit. And so, you know, whatever goes on. So to me, this whole thing has to have rings of a certain amount of theater. You know, maybe we're taking it a little more seriously than we should. I'm just throwing that out there because, you know, really, I think Anna can take care of herself.
no doubt. Yes. Yeah.
Oh, and we're guys, we're monetizing, so you can contribute because from what I can see, Human Love Solidarity is suing us for the use of gossip news.
I'm thinking I was seeing after media. Okay. Okay, but I look at how the Supreme Court looks. I think we got good chances to win it.
We have fair misuse.
Anyway, okay, this was I think it was important to do this. Also, Randy C was not so enthusiastic about that we're doing this second week in a row. I think it was the big thingy we had to see in the past couple of weeks there, and the reason why I put it on, you know, because I was so pissed at Cenk Uygur because he is also offending us, you know. He's also calling us clowns, fake lefties, you know, right wingers, you know, and yeah, fuck you, Cenk Uygur.
But you know, Marcus, last week when you brought this up, you know, I went through the day and like I kind of felt kind of dirty, you know, because I was dealing with all this gossip stuff, you know, in comments on other places online, and kind of got in my head, you know, and yeah, it's kind of dirty.
It is. And this is why we should go over. No. We should go. We should try to think about different ways, a different perspective, maybe. And Keith found something interesting there.
Yeah, let's play that.
Heaven and hell is just this. You're doing something willingly, that's your heaven. You're doing something unwillingly, that's your hell. We have already taken on attitudes, what we like and what we don't like. I like this person, I don't like this person. Now with this person I will do things willingly, with this person I'll do things unwillingly. This may be two people, two aspects of life, two communities, two nations, two many things. This I will do willingly, this I do unwillingly. This means I've decided in my mind this is good, this is bad. When I hear even on national news channels, good guys and bad guys, it just… once you have this kind of thing, you are going to be disastrous to the planet. It's just a question of time. The moment you decide this is a good person, this is a bad person, this has gone deep into American society. No, there are no good people and bad people. Everybody is oscillating between the two. If you create a very pleasant, wonderful atmosphere, everybody behaves wonderfully. If you create an unpleasant atmosphere, a whole lot of people act nasty. Yes or no? There are joyful people and miserable people, but there are no good people and bad people.
That's big.
The moment we think we are good, we are entitled to destroy the bad, isn't it? Yeah. Oh, we've been destroying a lot of people for a long time. Time to stop that because human beings are in different levels of experience and understanding, variety of people.
Yes, we've been mean to each other for a very long time, thinking that we're right and everybody else is wrong, and we need to stop it. Well, Okay.
This guy deserves his impressive white beard. These are
Yeah,
very
he's
wise
pretty good.
words.
I like him.
He's absolutely right, you know, and yeah, this also concerns my view, maybe our view, and yeah.
Yeah, well, and another thing about this whole, Jimmy Dore, Young Turks thing is, you brought this to the show, and everybody, I knew what you're talking about, and Amos knows what you're talking about. The people in chat know what you're talking about. We're in a group. We watch these shows, but none of us need them, because we all share a progressive bone, and that requires cultivation of ourselves, not watching shows. So, we watch these shows to get opinions, to evaluate, and so on. But we really can live without them. And like I mentioned, I like Jimmy Dore. I'm actually going to avoid watching him unless something comes up in my feed that's really compelling that I want to watch, because I just get independent, get back to my own thoughts, and working on this show, on my spare time too. That kind of takes away from passive, just viewing, because I'm able to do something. So
Keith,
yeah,
please don't shave your beard. Yeah, you're right. You're fucking right, man.
got to get a little longer, and I, this has got to get a little wider too.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Anything to add, Amos? Or shall we go to the next topic?
Let's go.
All right. So
yeah, and this one actually came from, I was watching Jimmy Dore, and he covered a little bit of this, and so I went down and hunted the original video, watched it, and like, we got to have this on the show. So let's just play it.
Oh yes, that's one. Yeah.
I'd just like to say something very brief. This is something that I actually put in my folder when I came out here today. You have no idea what it is. Nobody does, because it arrived on the internet to me this morning. It's a request for the rights to use my song, Another Brick in the Wall 2, in the making of a film to promote Instagram. So it's a missive. It's a missive from Mark Zuckerberg to me, right? Arrived this morning with an offer of a huge, huge amount of money. And the answer is, fuck you. No fucking way. And I only mention that because this is an insidious, it's the insidious movement of them to take over absolutely everything, So those of us who do have any power, and I do have a little bit, in terms of the control of the publishing of my songs, I do anyway. So I will not be a party to this bullshit, Zuckerberg.
You're keeping that engineer at WBAI very busy. Because there are 7 words we can't say.
What are they? What are the 7 words?
Aaron, you know. One starts with an F.
I know that one.
Starts with a C.
I know that one too.
S.
Anyway, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt proceedings.
Really
but-
That's okay.
Yeah, you should. You want to hear what these pricks have got to say? I mean,
That one's okay.
I'm going to tell you what he had to say because it's
Brick is
amazing.
okay, right?
A portrait of people they always get wrong. News clips reading Laziest Generation, followed immediately by Will They Save the World, blah, 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 blah. And then they're very lovely pictures of young designers who are, I can just see it up there with the song thundering away in the background. In fact, they have some of the, hey teacher, leave those kids alone, and blah, 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 blah. We want to thank you for considering this project. We feel that the core sentiment of this song is still so prevalent and necessary today, which speaks to how timeless a work is true. And yet, they want to subjoin it. They want to use it to make Facebook and Instagram even bigger and more powerful than it already is, so that it can continue to censor all of us in this room and prevent this story about Julian Assange getting out to the general public so the general public could go, what? What? No, no more, nada más. Anyway, there we go.
Should we delete Facebook?
You know, that's a really good question, probably. I mean, Zuckerberg features in my new rock and roll show. I've got him no, I shouldn't tell you. But he does. But you think, how did this little prick who started off by saying, she's pretty, we'll give her a 4 out of 5. She's ugly, we'll give her a 1. How the did he get any power in anything? And yet here he is, one of the most powerful idiots in the world. And he's dictating.
He's boring.
I've never met the man, but I'll take your word for it.
I don't know him personally.
Anyway, let's not go Zuckerberging. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I digress.
Okay.
Zuckerberging.
The volume kind of fell off too, but it was worth watching. And I mean, he a rare moment where the planets aligned, and yeah, I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did.
Do you know what song Zuckerberg wanted to get from him?
The Wall, the second version.
No, come! I knew it.
That's what he said.
And this is hilarious. This is absurd. Another brick in the wall.
And that's why
should
there was
be
some kind of
should be
poetic bullshit.
Should be a
in
music
the
theme
email.
for Facebook. This is beyond absurdity.
And it would have been sarcastic if it did. If they
Yes.
didn't.
Yes, it is like it is like making jokes, a bad joke on their own members, right? You know, why?
Well, you could see it in different ways, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, go on.
Well, now we get to the next segment, and Roger Waters did say something at the end about censorship and how we're being led, we're being spoon-fed things, and so it kind of leads into this next report. Now I'm going to start this report by this clip because I found James from the internet is going to introduce this next topic in the best way it can be presented. Last week I was going to, the National Guard was being put on alert, and that was a good way to introduce this topic. But now we'll play this clip. Let's play it. This is great. Yeah, he starts a 10-minute. Okay, go ahead.
Hello, greetings, everybody. My name is James. I am from the internet, and today we are going to be talking about the protected class of the police. Now, police, no matter where you live, are a problem. And wherever it is you are in the country right now, there is a local, regional, or national story about police violence that is dominating the print column of papers and the airwaves of radio, not to mention the 24 hours a day of fear-mongering cable that gets plugged into your house. So you are always guaranteed to be talking about one police story in which there are hundreds of talking heads who all voice an opinion, and everybody inevitably comes to the same conclusion of, well, sure, there are a few bad apples, but hey, the police are awesome. Which is why I am coming to you once again with our reoccurring weekly segment entitled, So What the Hell's Going On with the Police State? This is where I collect all of the local and regional police stories from other areas of the country that you maybe haven't heard of. And then what I do is I paint a wondrous picture with all of these stories, and then I throw it back at you and I go, so are all of these people bad apples? Or is it possible that it is the entire bunch, nary the tree, nary the entire orchard, that is completely rotten and should be chopped down? Let's take a look. Here we go. And this week we're
And here we go. Here we go. Yeah, so no, that really is a great introduction to what I'm going to cover here. And we're going to start with this picture. This picture, by the way, is very hard to find if you try to find this picture. It's being suppressed. And what it concerns is the murder of Winston Smith. That's what I was referring to this episode last week. I now refer to this situation as the execution of Winston Smith. I've gotten more rabid in my opinion, and you're going to get an opinionated report here. I don't deny it. Okay. And part of it is because of my own personal experience. And what we're going to cover here is what happens when your local fusion center fucks up big time. Next slide. Okay, I got this off Google Earth, and it's the same parking garage where Winston Smith was executed. The story is Winston Smith met with a girlfriend, I assume in this building to the right, where there's a bar, and he was under surveillance. And then he went to the top of this parking garage with his girlfriend. They got in the car. And then, you know, that first picture shows a car being surrounded by other cars. And, you know, and Winston Smith was shot to death. And that first picture that the news puts out, it's very confusing. You can't see really how things were, where the picture I found on Google Earth makes things a little better to understand. So Winston got in the elevator, I'm assuming here, you know, for the way I put things back together. He gets in the elevator, he rides up with his girlfriend, he goes over, he gets in the car, and then 7 or 8 unmarked cars zoom up, surround him, and shoot him to death. And his girlfriend has said there was no gun. So now let's get on to how this news was reported immediately. And this video is false. I want to say that ahead of time, and I'll be saying why afterwards, but let's watch it. And it's the next slide down.
We are learning new information tonight about a deadly confrontation with law enforcement in Uptown. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. I'm Kelsey Carlson.
And I'm Randy Meyer. That shooting at a parking ramp left one person dead this afternoon. Let's go to Fox 9's Courtney Godfrey. She is live in Minneapolis tonight with the very latest and what we know about what happened this afternoon. Courtney?
Randy, Kelsey, a U.S. Marshal task force shot and killed a man on the 5th floor of this Uptown parking garage around 2 this afternoon. A law enforcement source tells us that the man was wanted as a suspect in a murder investigation. The U.S. Marshal's office saying officially that they were trying to arrest him on a warrant for a felon in possession of a firearm. I want to show you a little bit of that chopper video here, because in this chopper video, you can really get a good look of what's happening. You see several unmarked cars there surrounding the suspect vehicle. That U.S. Marshal task force firing at the suspect after they say he failed to comply and pulled out a handgun. In a statement released by the U.S. Marshal's office, officials don't say if he ever fired at law enforcement or if he ever pointed the weapon in their direction, but we do know he was a wanted felon, a fugitive, as they called him in this statement. And as soon as he pulled the gun, law enforcement fired. Life-saving measures were attempted, but the man died on the scene. The task force, just so you know, that was attempting to make this arrest is a task force comprised of officers from various agencies. So they were working in a U.S. Marshal capacity, but there will be deputies and officers from various law enforcement organizations throughout the area on this task force. And I want to come back out live because you will see Minneapolis police officers out here on the scene right now. Now, this is not a Minneapolis police case. Those officers are simply here for crowd control and to maintain the scene, but this does not involve the Minneapolis Police Department. This is not a Minneapolis police investigation. Now, I also want to show you just the crowd that has gathered here. In the last hour, the crowd has doubled in size, so like we've seen with protests in the past, once it gets dark, the crowd does maybe start to grow a little bit. Throughout the day, they've been here just protesting police, and they're just out here voicing their concern about police and protesting the Minneapolis Police Department. So we'll be back with an update at 10 o'clock. Hopefully this scene out here remains calm, and we'll have the latest coming up at 10 o'clock. Randy, Kelsey.
Okay, that was 100% deep state propaganda. Fox News was deputized by the U.S. Marshals to put out a false police report, or a false news report rather. The fact is, Winston Smith's criminal record, he was not a murder suspect at all, never was. So that was false information that was deliberately planted. And from there, things have only gone downhill. He was all the worst thing Winston Smith has. He does have a assault on his record, a robbery, violent robbery, assault or something, which sounds horrible. But then
against his girlfriend,
and you find out involves an ex-girlfriend.
Yes.
So in other words, it's a he said she said story that got big enough to create this, turn him into a master criminal and revolutionary. Wow, his criminal record's been described as 20 contacts with police. You dig a little deeper, some of those contacts are parking in a no parking area in a snow area. In Minneapolis, it snows, and certain streets, I used to live there, I know. Certain streets, when it snows, you can't park on them because the snowplows have to get through. You park there, you get a ticket. That's a police contact. That later could be used on national news to portray you as a criminal who deserved what he got. Please don't let it happen. All right. So with that, let's move on to the next slide here. Oh, see there. Okay, here we go. Yeah. And so, I'm portraying, reporting the Winston Smith murder as an execution. And I don't believe he had a gun. With an attorney, the girlfriend that was in the car has said he did not have a gun. I do not go, I wouldn't, it boggles my mind. You're on the top of a parking structure. You can't go anywhere. And suddenly your car's surrounded by 7 or 8 police cars or unmarked cars. You're going to pull a gun? Really? It's ridiculous. So what I think happened, I think there was a redneck in charge of this execution squad. Now, the Fox report said there was a task force consisting of officers from other departments. I've since learned the 2 people that shot him, one was from Hennepin County, which is the county that Minneapolis is in. One is from Ramsey County, which is the county that that St. Paul is in. And I've got a slide somewhere. We'll hit it eventually, where I look at this in some kind of humorous way. I'm not even sure any of this is humorous at this point. But so I want to just mention that, yeah, I think a particularly very bad situation happened where you had a bunch of officers being collected. And how else would you build an execution squad? You get a bunch of officers from different jurisdictions, and then you put an asshole in charge who has total authority over all these people who don't know each other. You're going to get a toxic situation. You're going to get something that's going to express itself in horrible ways. And I think that's what happened here. So let's move on. And see, part of my whole thing about this story is the Fusion Center aspect. In 2007, I found out about fusion centers personally. I became a targeted individual in my own way. I discovered some things about the internet that the average public is not supposed to know about. And I had also done it through public channels, so I'm under no disclosure, agreement of any kind, the way most people who would know this information are. So I was harassed. And that's what made me research what fusion centers were. And there are about 80 of them in the country. And what they are is they fuse all the law enforcement agencies together so they can share information. And, some very toxic things can happen about this. One thing that's going to, all this happened after 9/11 and the Patriot Act and, fight terrorism. And what's going to happen here is you're going to get some very toxic personalities in charge of fighting this war on terrorism. And I think that's what's happened. The worst kind of people are in charge of this, and it leads to what happened to Winston Smith, and there's no oversight to any of this. So anyway, so once you become a targeted individual, let's go. Yeah, you're going to have to meet all the expectations of all these people who are watching you. Some of them are going to think you are a terrorist. And, they may be crazy, but they're going to be looking for things that confirm their belief. And we're going to see in this report I believe this is exactly what happened to Winston Smith. He was identified as a terrorist. We're going to see a tape that will let you decide whether or not his personality is that of a terrorist or not. But that's the story, and you know, people with full authority and no oversight have this attitude, and they can do things like shoot you. So let's move on, and what do I have next? Okay, now this slide I didn't make, so I'll turn it over to Amos here a little bit, because this is good. This is kind of what I've just said in a more clear way. So take it away for a minute, Amos.
Yeah, so basically, like you said, it's a task force that's combined of local, state, and federal forces. And there's a few problems that the ACLU has rung the bell on, and that's why I support the ACLU, because they take on these important issues. So basically, what is the problem? What are the issues with the fusion centers? So first of all, there's ambiguous lines of authority. Each locale, if it's on the state level or local level or the federal, has other different loopholes, has different regulations, and they pick and choose which of the participating organizations is going to go for information or spy on the individual, based on which one is the looser link for that particular purpose. So they shop around to see what regulations would allow them to do more, based on whether it's more beneficial on the local level or state level or the federal. That's number one. The private sector participation is a situation where you have companies that have to participate in revealing information about individuals. For example, if you work at the company, they are supposed to reveal information about you, and this is a loophole for privacy. So people's privacies are being greatly compromised in this fashion. The third thing is that the military is allowed to participate, and as we know, military is supposed to only act externally in terms of foreign incidents, not in terms of domestic ones. And so there's a conflict right there, where the military is brought into this whole mix of the fusion center. The fourth issue is the data fusion and data mining. It equals data mining. So because you have all these sources integrated, you can do a much deeper dive into personal information than you would have in other situations. And finally, there is excessive secrecy. As long as the national marshals, the U.S. marshals are involved, they can prohibit the local forces from putting cameras on, like having body cameras on, for example, or revealing any information. And that creates a situation where there's no way to know what happened. It's if we didn't have that witness of this fellow's friend who said that there was no gun and she didn't see a gun at any point, this would have not been an issue, and that kind of exposed like an inconsistency in their claims, because they said in one statement that he shot at them, and in another that they found a gun with spent bullets in the with spent cartridges in the glove compartment. So there's a conflict right there. But regardless, that's a problem with secrecy, where you can't really establish independently what has happened. So all of these things are serious problems. It's not to say that there is no need to coordinate between all these different agencies, because as we've seen, and this is something that came out of 9/11, as we've seen, the downfall of the intelligence at that point was that there were bits of information strewn around in different agencies, and nobody's put the main picture together. And so there is a problem. There is an issue with that, but because this has been implemented, it's such a lack of oversight situation that creates a huge loophole for a privacy issue and others.
Well, it can let a bad apple organize an execution squad, and I believe that's
Entirely
what
possible.
happened. And now we're going to cover why I believe that happened. I mentioned that I became a targeted individual, and so I know what a targeted individual is, and I know what they go through. And I know that Winston Smith was a targeted individual. You can see it right here. He is sitting behind Derek Chauvin at the Derek Chauvin trial, and he's working on his laptop, and he's making comments on Twitter, I think it is. I'm not on Twitter, I don't know. And so he says, check me out, I'm at the trial. So right there, that right alone would bring him to the attention of the Fusion Center. And from there, the stories can start spinning, and he can be turned into a mythical monster in some people's eyes with a hell of a lot of power and no oversight. So let's go on to the next slide. And here he is with Ben Crump. Now, Ben Crump was the lawyer for the George Floyd family. He's a well-known civil rights attorney. Here he is about 2 weeks before Winston Smith died. That's Winston on the right. And go to the next slide, please. Okay, now here, this one's really interesting because I was going to do this show last week, and we didn't have the time, which kind of turned out for the purposes of this slide to be serendipitous, because there's a video on here where it says class in session. And the video I had put on, I made the slide last week. I made it, and I came back to look at it last night, and I see that this video is a different video than the one I had put on last week. It has the same title. The URL must be the same, but it's going to a different place. So I went to Winston Smith's website because he had a YouTube channel, a Wince Me Boy, and he had last week, and when I was there, I saw all sorts of many more videos. Some of them not so bad. The only ones left are horrible. And this particular video, if we play it, it doesn't really reflect Winston in a bad light, but it doesn't allow you to get much sympathy for him. But let's cut to the chase. Winston Smith was shot to death. After he was shot to death, his YouTube channel has been edited. Also, there's a place where you can leave a comment on his YouTube channel, and there's only one comment there, one, and it says, criminals should die or something like that. So it's the cover-up of this whole thing is in full swing. So over the last week, I have seen information change and things. And so this is a train wreck actually in motion. And so
do you think
we have here?
But do you think it's the family that changed it?
But the thing is that the video that I was going to had linked to here last week, I also downloaded last week. So we get to see it.
Yeah.
And it's in the next slide. So let's watch this whole thing. It's a 6 minute long, but this man's dead. All right. We're watching this to see if this man deserved to die or not. I want you to think about that. So let's just get right into it.
All right, bet. Now
oh no, wait, the next one down. Go to the next slide. Yeah, this is the one. This is the one that's been removed. And by the way, you're going to learn the way of dance.
Cut it. I came in, I messed up the rug a little bit. Y'all can't see that though. What's good? What's me boy? In the building, I'm gonna pull my shirt up. How y'all feeling? So today we getting started with the wood shop. All right, Winston boy, I'm starting woodshop today. It's the new episode. It's the branch off from Car Talk. I was in the car because I was homeless. Y'all didn't even know it. Y'all didn't even know I ain't had nowhere to go, so I was still giving y'all content. I'm just bullshitting, that's a joke. Car Talk, I just want to branch off from that, so we're starting this today. I'm about to learn how to roll woods, so the main vibe for today is simplifying things, but I'm also about to RIP the Swishers, so I got my mans with me, YP, he about to come here and show me how to roll. Backwoods, I got pom-poms. I get so much mess for that. I can't tolerate them no more. They're not accepting my friends. I got Swishers. They don't want me to do that no more. It's strictly Russian creams. That's the go-to. It's a lot of backwoods, but this is the number one. We got honey for backup just because they ran out of Russian cream because we be buying so many. We also got raws on deck, longs and minis. We might not need them. I don't know what them for, but you know, joints and combs also. So let's get into it. My man's West YP with me. What up, what up? Start with the flavor. Yeah, say what the flavor is. What you got? What's the flavor?
Oh, it's Gorilla Cookies. Some
Okay.
of the finest. Super
Cookies.
potent flavor. You know what I'm
Okay,
saying?
cool. So, yep. Where we start?
I know the science to this shit, but we need a scientist.
We need a chemist.
Yeah.
Where we start with the wood? What's the first thing we do? What's the first things I would need to know?
First thing you want to do is unravel your wood.
Unravel the wood. Oh man.
Do you know how to unravel the wood? Let me.
Yeah, you gotta show me. Yeah, because I don't know. Alright, the first thing we gotta do is unravel the wood. For all you smokers that know this, I'm sorry, don't laugh at me. Y'all can laugh a little bit, but hey, slow up on the laughter, bro. Slow up, fam.
You gotta make sure you got a fresh pack of woods. These motherfuckers expire fast. You know what I'm saying? They harden up.
Okay.
They real leaves, so you know what I'm saying?
They gotta be fresh.
Yeah, they gotta be fresh.
Okay, I need to know that.
When you buy them from the store, make sure they're fresh. You then gotta fill a package. You know what
Make
I'm
sure
saying?
they soft. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's get
So,
into it.
find the edge, the corner that peels up.
I'm looking for the corner that peels up. Okay.
Corner peels
All
up
right.
and slowly unravel it, cause.
I'm doing it right. Just dump it.
Yep, unravel it, dump it. Then you wanna rinse them off. I'll go rinse them off real quick.
Rinse them,
Speed
so
up
just
this
keep
video.
water. Okay.
Yeah, you just rinse them off with water.
So I'll break this down real quick.
Yep, break that down.
Man,
She wanna be with the stars. She wanna be with the stars. She only be with the stars. She only be with the stars. Wasn't with me from the start. Why would you play with my heart? She only playing a part. She wanna tear me apart. Man, she wanna be with the stars. 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 Wasn't with me from the start. Why would you play with my heart? She only playing her part. She wanna tear me apart. Shawty in love with the art. I gave her all of my heart. Man, she wanna tear me apart. I got her scared I am part. Man, it make me sick, I'm a boss. The way you be driving my car. Man, I wanna take her for thoughts. But she only playing a part. Man, she wanna be with the stars. Cause they do not be at the bar. Man, they don't be living this hard. I wanna join my arms. Man, I wouldn't cause any harm. And they don't go chill at the park.
I'm gonna just tell you the vibe for the day. We really getting organized to just try to simplify life. So that's what I want to say. Just quit smoking.
You don't need no Band-Aid if that motherfucker hit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I like it.
Pass that joint. I ain't gonna like mine though. That's too much.
Ooh, what you think?
This a motherfucker.
That's a cold
Miami Beach.
Yeah, that's you gotta be
right
on the
here.
yacht smoking that thing.
Sheesh.
Man.
Take me back.
Okay, so cheers, I did it. Hey, simplifying things. We're gonna get a little poster board so we can write down things and just so it's not too much overthinking and being overwhelmed while you're in the present moment, to be able to enjoy the moment that you're in. Make sure you simplify what you gotta do. Try to write things down, organize your day, Start off with cleaning things that help you get organized and prioritize. Think about, we all got a lot of stuff to do. We all busy. Think about the first things you have to do or the most important and just focus on it. The rest of the stuff is not, you're not going to be able to complete it focusing on two things. You might miss a shot if you try to focus on two targets, but focus on what you need to focus on, knock it down, go on to the next one. Knock it down. Right. Be smooth. That's it. One love.
Okay, what do you think of that? You know, I just see two dudes living life. Now, part of it is I'm a stoner like they are, so I know exactly what they're doing. You know, I know how to roll. I've grown. Thing is, I don't do that anymore because I care about, you know, I don't smoke. I quit smoking altogether. I mean, burning leaves anyway. It's not good for you. So, you know, but when I was a young man, oh, I would have been there at that table right with them. So what's going on here? You know, you've got the bottle of Hennessy and you've got the drug paraphernalia. And so that's, you know, a counterculture rebellion. That's pretty common, really pretty, you know, it is pretty common. And you've got Winston Smith being himself, and you've got a table in back there full of merchandise, you know, because he had this idea, you know, that he didn't have it quite right. See, first you got to get famous as a rap musician, then you can do the merch. You can't do the merch first. And he was trying to do the merch first, and, you know, which, hey, fine, you know, so he's wearing it, and he's got the table full of it. And, you know, this is a regular segment about the wood shop. And what the wood shop means is there's a brand of cigars called Backwoods. And that is a preferred brand for people rolling blunts to use. What they do is they unroll the outside tobacco, throw the inside away, fill it with, you know, some good bud, roll it up, smoke, and feel good, because that's all it does to you. It doesn't turn you into a monster or anything. So, you know, what do you guys think?
Yeah, I didn't see anything here. I think maybe in some fascist person's minds that's incriminating, but I didn't see anything there. But perhaps the other things that caught law enforcement's attention was the fact that he previously has he's said something when he was at a rage about the Chauvin case. He said something about fuck Martin Luther King's approach. Yeah. We should take our lives back, and this is a war. That's one thing that he said, that it could be interpreted in extreme terms. The other thing was, what was the other thing? He did have a situation where he was called into court after he broke his parole, and also he had a case for a possession of an illegal firearm, which he was battling in court actively, and that kind of played against him. So.
Good you bring those things up. We should address those. They haven't been mentioned.
I don't think anybody is claiming that he's like an angel, but between that and seeing him as a hardened criminal that should have been shot is a big difference. His brother, after all of this has happened, has actually reached out to police and tried to create dialogue and goodwill. I don't know if this is going to go anywhere, especially when attorneys are going to start attacking both his credibility and his brother's, but it's inevitable that will happen. So we'll see.
Yeah. Good you brought up the criminal part of it, his history again, because the weapons charge, which is all over the news, you know, he had this weapons charge against him, boils down to being nothing more than having a gun while black, and while you have the aggravated conviction against you, he could have no firearms, so he was caught with one, and that produces, you know, owning a gun while black when you're a convicted felon.
Well, you have to have a license. I mean, you have to have a license.
Well, and he's not innocent of that, but it's being exaggerated and being made out to be this thing, when actually, black men in America generally have criminal records. White men make sure they get them, and that's part of what goes on in America. So Winston really, does he have more criminal history than most black men his age? Probably, but I wouldn't call it extreme at all. Not at all. It's really, you really got to be careful when you start talking about a black man's, criminal record, and really you should really dig into it and find out what's going on. Now, Winston was a big talker. He talked shit. I talk shit. Now, I'm a lot older, so I can get by with it more than he can, and I learned a few things. But the fact is, when I was his age, if I got on a roll and say I believed in Black Lives Matter, I would have ranted about the state and bring it down and said all sorts of things. And, people do that. Some people do it to get attention. But
you're exactly right.
It's within the normal range of human expression. However, it can be portrayed as something really aberrant. And so that's kind of a rebuttal to what you brought against, about Winston. And it's good to have it all out there.
People can take things out of context.
The standard thing for mass media is just to put out these missives, like his criminal record, 20 contacts with the police, weapons charge, aggravated robbery, and let you dig into it, black man living his life.
Yes, Keith. The things can be taken out of context. For example, he has said that he would not go freely, that he would not get arrested and lose his liberty. So he was willing to die for it.
One thing about it is his arrest is not the norm. He was wanted on failure to appear, which is a very common thing to be wanted for. We've all watched the cop shows. They pull over somebody, they check them out. Oh, you got a warrant for not failing to appear. And Winston, he was supposed to show up for a sentencing hearing or something to do with the aggravated robbery charge against his girlfriend, and he didn't. So he was technically wanted. He had a warrant out for essentially failure to appear. However, normally you don't have federal task forces showing up, blowing your shit away because you have a failure to appear warrant. You don't. And it's being represented as like he's some kind of terrorist or like he's some kind of criminal.
Yeah.
And that's why there's that little comment on his YouTube channel about criminals should die.
And the main issue is, of course, transparency, and there's none.
Yeah. Oh well, transparency. That's the world needs transparency. That's a big issue, and that this whole fusion thing is, if everything were transparent, people could really do no wrong, because as soon as he did, it would be out there. So the more you hide things, the more room there is for corruption and malfeasance. So, as far as government goes, I believe it should be 100% transparent. Everything that happens, everything they do, no such thing as secrecy. We are the government. We have a right to know. And that's my opinion on that.
As far as the YouTube channel, what's your thought? What is your theory that the family has cleaned up the account to remove any such videos that shed not so
no. If I were Winston, I wouldn't give out the password to anybody. I would have taken the password to my grave. So anybody who's messing with his YouTube channel, I think, is likely the deep state. It's Homeland Security doing a scrub job because they have to. They know they did the wrong thing here.
I'd like to hear the family.
Got out of control. So
I'd like to hear if the family, what the family has to think.
I would too, because there is a possibility. Say he did tell his brother, and then maybe his brother has retracted this. But why would you retract this video? Why would you?
It shows him as somebody who is you know, who's into marijuana, and that may color a jury's perception of him.
Well, there are 35, 40 million Americans that are into marijuana. It's also legal in most places now. And, you know, from a fusion center's point of view, he's committing a federal crime right here. So that can, you know, that allowed this video by itself was part of the justification, I think, for the whole fiasco.
Marijuana is not legalized yet in Minnesota.
I think it is, but see, under federal law, that's the thing. We're talking fusion centers, and federal law supersedes everything. So the federal law is going to dominate a fusion center, and in a fusion center, marijuana is a class 1 controlled substance, same as, God, the worst. So, you know,
except the public's not there anymore. Like there's no, like, the public would not perceive that as a gross offense of any kind at this time. So
right.
if their
comes
attempt
back to the question, why would his family pull it for this reason? I wouldn't.
So it would be in the interest, but it would be in the interest of law enforcement to leave that as evidence for him breaking the law, if anything, not remove it. I don't know. It's an interesting.
But they have other videos. See, this is a regular segment, so the one that, if we go back up to the previous slide, we could play that one, and we'd see a similar one. And this is, again, start that one. You know, which it's essentially the same, but you're not going to see the human side of Winston in this.
All right, bet. Now we rolled up. Let's get to it. Question for the day. So, why y'all smoke wood? What's so good about the wood? I did a little cost and benefits analysis. You know what I'm saying? I know I be getting the swishers or the pom-poms, cheap pom-poms for the low. $15 for 45. You know what I'm saying? Cheap. Good deal. Swishers is $2 for 2. Backwoods, I paid $10 for a pack of 5. So when I was weighing my options, I was wondering, what's so, you know what I mean? Why are we choosing the woods? Like, do they smoke better? Is it health-wise? Is it just because, like, certain people like it? Is it a cool thing? Why, you know what I'm saying?
So this one you're saying remained on the feed?
Yes. One thing about the theory about the family doing it, which probably isn't correct, is because the timestamps on everything that remains on his website is 3 months old or older. And the video we just watched, which I'm the only one that has a copy of, that one is a month later. So that's more recent, the one we just watched. The one with the red sweatshirt.
Right.
Hoodie.
Interesting, something to look into.
Yeah. Okay, you know, and part of this whole thing is like, you know, I'm contending that racism, or actually something even more sinister called white supremacism, is kind of got a toehold in whoever was in charge of this thing that decided that Winston should die, you know. And what's this graph? This graph has to do with police contacts, but you know, let's just go on to the next one, because this graph referenced this one here. On the left side here, it's the rate of fatal police shootings. You know, if you get stopped by the police, what are the chances you're going to die? If you're black, it's more than twice that of a white man. You know, how can that be? That's ridiculous.
Is that nationwide or Minnesota?
There's no way you can explain away a murder rate by police on our population. You know, of black people, that's twice as great. You know, 36 to 15 per million, you know, stops or whatever. And
Keith, is this nationwide or Minnesota?
Yeah, this is nationwide. This is it's recent too. This is so far so far this year. The previous slide. Let's see if I have. Yeah, if we go back to the previous one, I'll read it. Sadly, the trend of fatal police shootings in the United States seems only to be increasing, with a total of 371 civilians having been shot. 71 of whom were Black in the first 5 months of 2021. In 2020, there were 1,021 fatal police shootings, and in 2019, there were 999 fatal shootings. Additionally, the rate of fatal police shootings, which is the other graph, among Black Americans, which was much higher than at any other ethnicity, standing at 36 per million of the population as of May 2021. So that's May 2021. It is up to date. So police shootings are increasing. There have been 137 so far this year, and 71 of the victims were Black. So that goes to, what's our show? No joke. This is a no joke situation. So if we go to slide 35, this is it. Ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's pretty likely those guys
Let's go on to the next one.
I think it's pretty likely that those guys would be today, smoking their weed, if they were white. I cannot imagine that this would happen to someone who's white, that because of what I saw,
Well, I think there's a chance of it, but it's a much smaller chance.
A much smaller chance.
Black men have to deal with a certain class of people in this country called white supremacists.
Yes.
They are among us, and, part of this whole situation just makes my blood boil because, I've had to deal with kind of ignoring them all my life. And this situation brings to me, you can't ignore this. This is real. It can't be explained away. Like bad, like the people in Minneapolis, they're tired. They don't want it. They've had a year of George Floyd protests. They just want to have everybody to be happy. So, so if there's a thing called systemic racism, which I don't even like that term, but, it's kind of out there. If that exists on any level, it's going to come back because people are just so tired and they don't want to deal with this stuff. But if they were white, they'd be smoking their weed and they'd be rolling you one right now.
Yeah. No, it makes me speechless, and that this is possible. But I'm German. I have a complete different perspective on all this stuff.
Yeah, well, one perspective, let's go on to the next slide. We'll cover the next three in kind of quick succession, and so Amos will pay attention. Let's see. So we want to look at 37 or 36. Let's look at 36 first. I want to explain 37 before we get there. Okay, 36 is up. Yeah, getting back to the fusion centers, the men who actually shot Winston Smith one came from Hennepin County, one came from Ramsey County, and like, what were their qualifications? How do you get on these? What kind, are they screened in any way? I don't think so. In fact, let's look at the next slide. Here I think they are back at their regular jobs, they're cruising around in a car like this. Now, I didn't know what to put on the door for these two men. One of them should say, Ramsey County with the picture of the Ramsey County silhouette. The other one should say Hennepin County with the Hennepin County, but, to me, these men, whoever they are, aren't real men to me. So I had to assign them the Beaver Patrol. And so when they're not on the regular job, so here I'm showing them on the regular job when they're not pulling down overtime, working a federal execution gig, which I'm sure in their mind is good work if you can get it. So disgusting. But we need to go on to the next slide. And let's play this one. Just play it. It's very short.
In Uptown overnight, a few dumpster fires and a couple dozen people gathered near Lake and Girard. That's right near where Winston Smith was shot and killed by authorities 3 weeks ago. Several police officers around as well to help keep the peace. No word on if anyone was arrested.
Yeah, so that was last night. And it introduces the fact that, you know, at least for some people in Minneapolis, Winston Smith is not yet forgotten. And you know, unfortunately, one of the protests resulted in a death where something like the Charlottesville car attack happened, where a car attack, a SUV drove into a parked car that belonged to this person who was at a protest for Winston Smith. And she was sitting on the curb in front of her car at this protest, and she was run over by her own car, something like that. And it's a really horrible situation. And let's see where. Yeah, so a vehicle drove into a group of protesters in Minneapolis. One of them died, and the motorist may have been under the influence of drugs or alcohol, according to investigators. We're going to find out there's some contradictory evidence there. We actually have it on the show. And yeah, so this is the man who actually was driving the SUV. He has a long record of driving while intoxicated and being in, you know, getting a lot of trouble and causing accidents and such, you know, and you really can't find out a lot about him. I mean, the news reports, one of them, he's from St. Paul, and he's supposedly married, but nobody can find his wife to interview her, to know her name, or well, I don't know. It's like crazy. You try to find out about this guy, and you can't find very much out about him. I think he was a human missile. I think he was put up to this. I think, in my opinion, he was sent there to cause fear and intimidate the protesters as much as possible, because this thing, the people in charge know they're in trouble. They killed somebody and when they shouldn't have, and there's some blowback here, and they want to cut it down. Now, call me crazy, call me conspiratorial, you know, call me whatever you want. But the fact is, the United States has pulled coups all over the world for like 50 years, you know, Chile, Honduras, you name it, you know. We have, you know, a CIA. We interfere in foreign elections, and we've, you know, there's some people who are acting behind the scenes in all this. And anyway, the victim who died was Deonna Erickson, and the guy, Mr. Kraus, who drove the SUV and killed her, was detained by the protesters at the scene, and we have interviews from one of them coming up.
We have also video. We have video of the event. It's not for the squeamish, so
yeah. So play that first.
He just came through 100 miles an hour, smashed this car. He just came through 100 miles an hour, smashed the car. He came through 100 miles an hour, and he just killed her. He just killed her. Block the car. Don't let go. Don't let go. This just came through 100 miles an hour. You going down, boy. You going down. It's over. You. I need the police. It's over. I didn't mean to.
Yep.
Yeah, not for the squeamish.
Yeah, like green light, I get halfway down there, you know, where the sheriff car at right here. I hear.
Let me go this way.
So when I got right to there with a paddy wagon, the little white truck, whatever, you know, I hear a big, I hear tires screeching. Then I heard a loud takeoff, you know, like as the person was accelerating. Then we heard them smack into the barricade. And long story short, You know, we kept hearing we need a medic, we need a medic. And first thing I was doing, when I say that it's my duty to take care of my community, I put actions to that, you know, because I've been out here and I've been a frontline and I've been a civil rights movement leader since the 26th of last year, George Floyd, and I feel like, you know, I feel like honestly, what we're going through right now is war in our own city with the police system. You know what I mean? And for that to happen, I had to take all charge.
Yeah, then just go. You're good.
I had to go through homicide investigation, and I'm going to say something that's going to really change this whole move, and it's going to really bring some light into this. They interviewed me today, and they knew what happened. So I say, if y'all want to see justice for Deanna Marie, I tell everybody, let's testify. Let's show up and put this man where he need to be at. This wasn't a vehicle homicide. This was a murder that we seen. And so I tell my people of all colors, come stand and give your statements. This is not no black on black crime. This is not no police against black crime. This is not no police against other people crimes. This was a supremacist against, this was a terrorist attack. If you really think it, this was an attack on us. And so,
domestic terrorism.
Yeah, and so what happened that night when I took him out the car and I put him in the bar. I'm registered jiu-jitsu. I put him in the bar and I told him, hold yourself accountable because you killed one of our people. He said, I'm sorry. No, that man did not have no liquor on his breath. I did not smell no drop of liquor on him. So stop changing the mirror. Stop switching up saying that it was a drunk driving. No, that was a mission, and it was accomplished what he did. And so at the end of the day, and when they came and got him over there, he said that I was going to kill myself, and I'm still going to kill myself. And no one knew that, you know, because at the end of the day, like I said, these are not coincidences. These are events. These are not happening for no reason. Winston didn't happen for no reason. George didn't happen for no reason. Breonna didn't happen for no reason. So it's like, pay attention and realize we in war with the system right now. This right now, and what's sad, and I gotta tell the truth, I gotta keep it 100 on my man's media, because he's there with us. A lot of these people that come out here will scream, but then go home. A lot of us, we really in the field. You know what I'm saying? When my car got shot up, 100 bullets hit my car. All I got was a graze in my arm. I had to continue roll with the punches. I experienced trauma after trauma after trauma. My mind haven't been at ease. But you know what? I got a heart as a giant, and I'm gonna keep fighting for my community. And I have to really think on this, like, how can I get my people to understand that these people ain't here to play with you? They here to either kill or arrest you. We the one that protect and serve our community. And that's what I did that night with the guy that killed Deanna Marie. I love you so much, Deanna Marie. I do. You brought tears to my eyes. You brought tears to the city. We did not want to lose you. And I'm sorry that it happened to you. And I promise that man is going to get murdered. He's not going to get no vehicle homicide, because the vehicle they killed him, it was a man that was behind that vehicle that killed him. So I'm going to do what a leader's supposed to do, and we're going to fight, and we're going to get this justice for you and your family. I love you.
Oh, that's some threats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now we'll see what the mainstream narrative is again. An SUV rammed into protesters in Minneapolis, killing one and injuring another. Then protesters yanked the driver out. Now, did you see anybody getting yanked out there? I saw him being restrained. I saw the crowd being very well behaved, actually, considering the circumstances that a murderer just drove into them. You know, holding him for the police. I'm surprised they didn't rip him to pieces. They should have.
Yeah.
So
we had, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know why this happened. You know, I think it could be also very likely that this guy has also a mental disorder.
I don't think so.
I'm not familiar with this case, but from the oppression, what happened yesterday here in Germany, in Würzburg, in the south of the country, There was a refugee, who had asylum here in Germany, and he went to Woolworth, and he bought a knife and he killed 3 women and 1 kid, and he stabbed much more people. 2 of them are still fighting for their lives in hospitals, and this guy had a proven mental disorder. He was already in a treatment about this. Do we know anything about this guy so far? That
Marcus, this is an idea I want you to try to wrap your head around, and it's that that person in Germany. I don't know anything about the story, but obvious mental issues, right?
Yes.
I'm suggesting that there is a clandestine organization in America that tracks nutcases. That were that organization in Germany, they would know about that man. They would find ways of encouraging him to do something. Like they have ways of turning these people into human missiles. Maybe, they don't activate. They're unpredictable. You're dealing with somebody, you want to cause mayhem, but somehow they trigger them. And I got to thinking about why they would run a car into the protests, and what could they say how could they persuade someone to do it? Because it seems like crazy. How could you do that? And then I read about Mr. Krauss. His actual name is I had it. Oh, never mind. His last name's Krauss. I looked him up, and then I realized, if they gave me the job, I'd know exactly what to tell him to make him do what he did. And none of the promises have to be kept, because he was maybe told that, you do this thing for us, it's going to be bad, you're going to go to jail, but you're going to go to jail anyway. We got you on all these other charges, and we're going to make your life hell if you don't do what we want to do. Want you to do. So you do this, and in about 5 years you get transferred to New Mexico, and you get out under a new name. I mean, all you'd have to do is tell somebody in deep, an alcoholic with extreme legal troubles. You make him think that he could get away. There's a way out of his problems, and he's got his own mental issues. And America's, we got millions of people. There's more than enough people with mental issues. You could probably find one to do whatever you wanted to have done. Now what I'm sounding maybe sounds really crazy, but there have been things that have happened in America. One of them is the Boston bombing, where I kind of knew something that I don't want to get into it, but there's strong evidence that was a false flag operation. And, I'm not saying that any of this is at all. All I'm saying here is that a situation which came to a bad end, he probably was not supposed to die, but somebody pulled a trigger, for whatever reason. And that is causing a lot of cover up now, organized cover up by by the federal government, and nobody's going to be able to stop it. They have total control of our propaganda.
There were no people standing by, as we have seen in the George Floyd case, for example. And without this proof that people were standing by and recording what happened there, they would Chauvin and the others would not be sanctioned. They would not be stand in jail. They would be in office still. They would be on the streets.
And there were no body cameras permitted. So yeah,
I don't know if there's really such a clandestine organization working this out. It is hard to believe, but honestly, after what I saw, since I got into American politics and all the other stuff, honestly, it is not unlikely to me. Sad to say this.
It's not impossible, but you have to look at what would they achieve. I think, if anything, this such kind of an attack on demonstrators would achieve the opposite effect of people going to support Diana in that things that voice strengthening, not weakening. I don't think it intimidates people to the point.
I think it is maybe it is more likely, killing people, you don't need necessarily, to take your car, because you might get hurt yourself, you got weapons available everywhere, why don't you shoot at them? But what I think might be or is likely to me, that those guys, who are already suffering under a precondition, maybe mentally, that they are used by right-wingers groups, we already saw in Charlottesville, for example, and they are getting in they're getting manipulated, that they are get into a rage, and blindly commit those crimes. This is what it looks to me, because it does not look to me like a planned crime. This is what I'm thinking.
Well, the beauty of finding, human missiles is there's no evidence. You just trigger them, and then they do whatever they do. And there's nothing to come back to anyone to show that they have been triggered, because what you're doing is you're hiring someone who's good at the job, and their job in this case is being crazy and creating mayhem. So you hire the professionals.
Yes, absolutely right. But let me come back to what Amos said. Because it backfires. At this point, the killed demonstrators got all the sympathy.
Yeah, but that's expecting it to make sense. Who says it has to make sense? For in each individual mind, it makes sense. But when you add, the whole being greater than the sum of the parts here or something, the sum of the parts is rather a chaotic, fluid situation where nobody's really in charge, kind of. And things are just being, wherever the machine, the surveillance machine wants to go, seems to be where we're going. And nobody's got a lot to say about it.
Yeah.
And what's this TikTok thing, Keith?
Well, this is kind of a nice slide to end this segment up with, just because it talks about censorship. And, there's an underlying theme that I've been portraying, advocating, my extreme point of view about what I think may be going on with Winston Smith, because I'm seeing the information being managed, and I'm seeing, in my mind anyway, whether you agree with me or not, that's up to you, but I'm seeing information managed, and, I'm aware that we have a very large surveillance state, and it's not just passive, it's also active. And that's, a lot of people don't get that. They only think we're being watched. And, there's the other surveillance state, China. Now, we all understand China does more than watch. And so let's just watch this next segment. But before we do, I'll say what, last week I mentioned I was going to do something on the Uyghurs in China, and I will next week maybe. But this week I got into, the Winston Smith, and I've been living to give this report, really.
Yes.
So
by the way,
it's over with. Well, this is a nice one to, it's sort of coming attraction, and we'll discuss after we play it how it relates to what we've been talking about so far.
By the way, before we do, a trivia question to our audience: do you know who Winston Smith was in literary terms, and from what book or novel or movie or whatever? All right, here goes.
Can you repeat again, please?
What character was Winston Smith in the literary world? Okay, here we go.
Winston Smith.
What I wanted to say is that China's learning that if you bombard Americans and the rest of the world with enough misinformation over and over and over again, it doesn't create China's super fans, but it does create confusion, which in our current society leads to complacency, which eventually leads to apathy. And that is exactly how China is going to win.
Yeah, that's true.
So we're living in a surveillance state, and situations being managed to make us apathetic.
So, any guesses from you guys who Winston Smith was?
It must be some kind of Orwellian novel. Orwell maybe, or what was it? Maybe him.
Not Orwell, but it's 1984. It's the protagonist from 1984. So,
damn
yeah,
it.
which I've read twice, by the way.
And all right, that concludes our.
What was the name? What was the name? I had constantly the face of the secretary of Mr. Burns in mind.
Oh, God, Smithers.
Smithers. Yeah, what was his first name?
That I don't know.
I don't know either. I had this in mind when you asked this question. All right. So we are already at the Satire roundup. Yes. Yeah, it's a bipartisanship, right? Yeah. Shared with Joe Manchin and Doug Turtle, huh?
One thing to say, though, is that Manchin surprised people when he voted with Democrats on the H.R. 1 bill, as did Sinema, making it a completely 100% Democrat versus Republican vote.
Yeah. Welcome to West Virginia, where the Biden agenda goes to die. Yeah.
How true.
Yes, we don't have to comment this. I think this speaks absolutely for itself. And it is crazy, you know, if you look at the situation here in Europe or in Germany, what the Catholic Church concerns, we have a big scandal here around. And the Vatican already sent people, you know, to check the situation, what's going on in Cologne, you know, because there are, it seems, they suppressed evidence, you know, of children abuse, etc., you know, and it is absolutely fantastic what's going on there, and it's a big discussion between Catholics here, you know, not to follow any the orders coming from Rome anymore. Do we have the audio for this, Amos?
Nope, no audio for this.
Okay. Because abortion is murder, we should deny communion to pro-choice politicians and individuals. To be consistent, we should also deny communion to death penalty supporters. Then we have to deny communion to military personnel, gun owners, war supporters. Guns and wars have killed millions of people. Hey, where's my congregation? Yeah.
Hell, I don't know.
Hell, I don't know. Yeah. Good one. Yeah, and there we see, yeah. It only counts when I say it.
Yeah, pro-choice versus anti-vaxxers. Yep.
Yeah.
It's enough to leave you speechless.
Yeah. And honestly, this does not look similar to Ronald Reagan on the left side.
A little bit.
I don't think so.
Well, it's no improvement.
No. Yeah, and there we have the Iranian wall, you know. If anyone wants a nuclear deal with Iran, they need to show flexibility. Yeah. And it was 32% went to the elections around this.
It was the lowest showing.
Yeah, and this shows, you know, that the people in Iran, you know, the ordinary people like you and me, they totally gave up on politics, you know, because every other candidate who promised to be a little bit more open, you know, they got no they got no allowance. They were not allowed to take part in the elections. So everyone stayed at home.
But to say the truth, in the U.S. participation is not that great either. However, what is amazing to me is that they voted for someone who was a war criminal and actually was personally involved in the death of tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of regime opponents in the beginning of the Islamic Revolution in Iran. So they've consciously voted in somebody who's has crimes against humanity in his record.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, here's a cartoon coming up here. This cartoon contradicts the previous cartoon, but it's been censored.
The one we just we showed?
Well, there was another one, but and it was showing that he wasn't a war criminal, but the U.S. government decided we shouldn't get that story.
I see. I got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, go to slide 64 there.
Yeah, 64 was this.
64 was this. Yeah.
Yeah. This is one story we didn't cover, and I had a slide on it. I put in a notes deck. I took it out of the deck because I didn't think we'd have time. But like Richard Medhurst, his show, it was on, this press TV, and all of a sudden, he's out of a job. I mean, not really, because there's workarounds, but essentially the U.S. government went in and seized like 25 Iranian websites, just stole them, just took the URLs away.
Wow. Yeah. And I just see before we go on, there is a piece dove in chat, and the comment is, "Stop bullying. Many of us are allergic to the vaccine." Well, I think if so, there should be found ways, to make it bearable. But I can guarantee you 100%, if you don't get a kind of vaccine, then you get the virus. There is no way around.
It's nobody here is bullying anyone. It's just the majority of people are not allergic, and it's become like a political statement rather than anything else. So that's obvious. So we're not. Of course, we're not criticizing anyone who has a legitimate medical reasons not to.
Exactly. This is what I want to say. If you have an allergy to the vaccine, there should be find ways, to make it bearable, But it is a fact, because last time a delivery guy came to me and he said he's completely worried about to get a vaccine shot because he's the kind of guy who has never luck, that he would get something dramatic from the vaccine. And I told him, but look, man. If you don't get vaccinated in any way, then you are guaranteed to get the coronavirus, and it doesn't change, And then he also started thinking and said, yeah, in the end, yeah, it's right.
Eventually, yeah.
I think not getting the vaccine, unless you know that there is a specific medical reason for you individually not to get it, that basically.
Yeah. And I assume
it's antisocial.
Yeah, I assume that
the vaccine hurting you are much smaller than the odds of you passing the disease on to somebody else if you get it.
Yeah.
And if you get it, you may be if you get COVID, you could pass it on and kill someone else.
Yeah.
So, getting the vaccine really isn't all about you. And so this opinion, fine, you can say that, but the three of us are kind of united that we think vaccines are a good thing.
And I don't think that piece of meant it as a political statement. I think I would take it that it's really an allergy. But there should be find ways. It's no bullying
with a specific medical issue, of course.
Yeah.
But that doesn't apply to most people.
Yeah, that's it. All right. Yeah, one step forward and 2 centuries back. Yeah, this is what I said last week already. that in parts of the black community, the celebration of Juneteenth is seen critical, because they are asking themselves, why should we celebrate a day or a month, when we are treated like second-class people the other time of the year, Yeah. Yeah, the critical race theory. This is also a thing we didn't cover. It's absolutely fantastic. I read today that in Florida, DeSantis is already planning to rebuild the school plans and stuff, and that he might take money away from public universities and school who are not following the new guidelines. What these theories concern, and you see this absolutely.
Yeah, well, because of the Winston Smith report, reporters become, which we're amateur reporters in a way, we become experts very quickly on things. And so I looked into and I found out that critical race theory has actually gone through 3 iterations. It started out in the late 80s and early 90s, and it had a certain Marxist influence then. And people like DeSantis, Trump, and so on, that's what they think critical race theory is, and that's what they concentrate on. Now, the fact is their criticisms have nothing to do with the state of critical race theory now, which is actually on the 3rd iteration of what it is. And, so parts of it are right on and correct. Parts of it I don't like. One thing about it is it kind of rings about, it has a lot, it's related to the intersectionality theory, which was advocated in the early 90s. And, what it suggests an ideology. And, as long as it's true science and truly an accurate portrayal of our history and facts, I got no problem with it. But, it does things like say that currently, that like racism is in our DNA, in white DNA, and please don't even go there. That's ridiculous. So so the extreme parts of it are problematic, and it pisses off most average Americans, because it comes from the academic discipline. It talks about stuff that's talked about in universities and debated there, and so so a lot of the arguments are nuanced. And should I shut up now, or have I said too much about it?
No, it's absolutely okay. I was wondering, what would be happening in Germany when we decide here in Germany, okay, let's talk about a little bit different about the Nazi times. Let's find only the good things about it. And I don't want to make a direct comparison, but it is a part of the history, which is which is not covered anymore, or falsely covered or left out, and this is not helpful.
Well, you're absolutely right. The truth needs to be told.
Yeah.
No, don't take anything I say as to construe it to say that I'm anti-truth. I want it out there, but I also don't want it I want people to think for themselves. And I don't, any theory that comes along and tells you what your opinion should be. No, I want it to present the facts and perhaps think about these, but so, if it has a dogmatic side, I'm not for that part of it, but for the honest criticality, and as a nation, we do need to address the history of injustice, and it needs to come to an end. It needs to stop. And, the rampant white supremacists who are all about, blowing black men away need to be brought to task. They are not. See, one thing about the whole critical race theory I don't like is that it portrays us all as being racist.
Yeah.
And there are good white men. There have always been good white men. Sometimes good white men have been about as rare as snow in July, but they have been there. And, you can't get anywhere by shaming people. And so there's an element to that. And that's my criticism of it, which has nothing to do with the criticism of, say, the governor of Texas or Florida or any other Republican asshole. because they don't know. They don't investigate. They just take what they're told because it's been told to them, and they think authority is good.
Yeah.
Do what you're told.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah, and the other one we see in the background, happy goon teeth, and we see the goon behind the elephant. Yeah. Yeah, and there's another monster coming up, the inflation monster, and it eats the massive spending. Take that and some of that. Yeah. All right, guys. We're at the end.
Take us out, Markus.
I take you out. I take you so out because we got Sleaford Mods with us. And this is their latest single. I Don't Rate You.
Sleaford Mods. All right.
Great that you love them, Keith. Well, I Don't Rate You. It's their latest single, and they're doing this from home. And it's from KXP. It is like Tiny Desk. It is a very good channel here on YouTube, where they're presenting a lot of artists who are doing their stuff at home right now, because of the virus. Formerly, they invited the musicians to come into the studios or into a little library and to perform there. And as it is not possible, they said, okay, send us your stuff from home, and Sleaford Mods did. And I Don't Rate You. I hope you like it. Guys, any last words before we go out?
Yes, of course. Call again for you guys to share us on your social media and send us your comments on the segments that we post after the show. That we may address that in a future show if there are good comments.
Yes, of course. Well, Keith.
Yes, nothing from me.
Okay,
I'm
nothing
glad.
from you. It was a great segment you presented, and I think we got to think about it, and I hope you will stay you will stay with the topic, and inform us about the developments in the future, because this case made me curious, and would be great to hear more about it.
I hope it makes a lot of people curious.
Yeah.
That's the point of it. Dig into it. Find out what fusion centers are. Find out where news comes from. Find out that, the mass media is told what to publish and what to say, and they comply. American business has no problem complying with the government. What a year or so ago, there was a whole brouhaha about Apple not releasing, something on an iPhone to the FBI. I had to laugh about that. No, Apple does whatever they're told to do.
Of course.
A CEO would be negligent if they didn't. They are obligated to operate in the best interest of their corporation, and complying with the government, not complying with the government would, their board of directors would see that as a violation. That's one problem with capitalism.
They would need
with government, and eventually turns into fascism.
They would need to send out, a message why the stock rates changed. A warning maybe. If they would do so. To warn, in Germany is like that, if you do something which might hurt your business and you got stock owners involved in it, you got to send out a warning if something strange is happening, and the same thing, I guess, if you got the same laws, would have been done by Apple.
It's a big club. We're not in it.
Of course not. Saying this, thank you all for watching. Have a nice weekend. Stay safe, and try to get vaccinated, if you're not allergic, or find a way to do this, and
don't
stay healthy. Stay healthy, and well. We are going out to Sleaford Mods. I Don't Rate You. See you next week.
Bye guys. Bye-bye.
Me and Danny Olive. that idea lived up black. List of no one, let's go yo. Don't talk shit, stinks poo. I don't break yo. She's up right now, that's what he said. Blokes that kiss us in the end. Blokes commercial boring twat. I don't really like things like that. I don't break yo. Watch the cards, I've seen them drop. You're the everyman that's not. You're the pixel lovely table. Fuck off, wanker, famous Tage. I don't break yo. I don't break yo. I don't break yo. I don't break yo. What does it all mean? What does it all mean? What does it all mean? What you telling me that for? Losing with him for the law. I don't want those stars near me. I'm not fucking galaxy. I don't break yo. Appropriate, make the run. I'll just look like anyone. I'll just do stuff done. It's invested like that, right run out Paul. I don't break yo. I don't need no castle run. I don't want a motorsport. I don't need no horses running. I don't need no princess abseiling down the fucker. I don't break yo. I don't like them. I don't break yo. I don't break yo. I don't break yo. Do you wanna sound cold? Do you wanna sound cold? Do you wanna sound cold? Well, you don't. Do you wanna sound cold? Do you wanna sound cold? Do you wanna sound cold? Well, you don't. I don't break yo. I don't break yo. I don't break yo. I don't break yo.